Hey guys, welcome back to the Golden Door Garage. This time we're going to cover some of the other projects that we've been working on, get you an update on the Corolla and the Mustang and all sorts of stuff, and make sure you guys are totally up to speed. So, turbo coffin. Notice there's no more turbo there. Well, that's because I got excited and we have two. Now, back to the other stuff that's in the shop. Remember this Mustang that we worked on a few months back? Well, it's been hanging out. Customer and I have been discussing what are we going to do with this build, and since unfortunately we do have an issue with one of the heads, the engine is going to come out and we're going to get going on that. So outside of all of the Mustang and turbo coffin work, Alan has been doing a ton of powder coating work, and man, is that stuff looking awesome. Valve covers, this motor's getting all dressed up. I believe that's going to go into a personal car of Alan's, a 57 Bel Air. Alan has been working hard on various projects, Corolla turbo coffin stuff, that's the backing plate for a sign, and a lot of other stuff. Ben has been killing it on the Cerakote side, lots of really interesting items have been coming through. Having a great time with that. You can check all of those out at cerakote.com. Search Golden Door Garage to find our exclusive page. And we are having a blast. So I guess now it's time to start pulling motors. Alright, you haven't missed very much. Mustang is on the lift. Intake manifold, fuel rails are off. We're going to go ahead and keep taking everything apart on the top side to get ready for us to drop this engine out. I have no idea what music.
Oh, you have to find yours and make it your own. Because Cletus has definitely claimed that one sound. And then there's this other dude that does hunting videos. He claimed this other one. I don't know, claim, he just uses it on everything.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of thought about just stealing a little bit from everybody else. Maybe it'll be like, you know, "Chow, I'm Caleb," and so on for the intro, like Kentucky Ballistics, or, you know, "I love you, I'll see you later," or whatever it is Demo Ranch does, or, you know, "Hell yeah, brother."
Hey, can this go right here?
Yeah, that'll go right there. Worst thing that happens is you bend it. I don't really care about that car that much. It's my personal car, just to clarify. I've been working on things, it's scary. We interrupt your normally scheduled broadcast for Ben pulling his first engine. Oh, waiter. Good job, Ben. All right. That's your regularly scheduled program. Yep. About everything unhooked, and now we are ready to go ahead and drop the whole cradle assembly, engine, trans, and everything. Engine is on the stand. I'll have you guys check in with me in a little bit once we start getting this thing pulled apart. Still making progress on this with it on the engine stand here. All the covers are off. We do see great big comp cams up top. From the bottom side, we were able to identify Crower rods and JE pistons, so that's all good stuff. Overall, it's looking pretty solid. Hopefully we can get this thing finished up today, get the rest of the timing assembly to come off, and get the heads off. We do notice they are all held in with ARP hardware, so that's good. And looking forward to figuring out and getting an exact build sheet on this and determining what crank is in it and how big of a stroker motor this is. Okay, so the engine went off to the machine shop, and unfortunately it was not good what came back. We did determine that the crankshaft itself was a Winberg billet crankshaft. Took that engine to a 5.8 liter stroker and was going to be safe for 10,000 RPM. So this thing could have been a monster had another shop not disappointed and done the machine work the right way the first time. When we pulled the engine apart, what we found, as you can see, a little black line down in there. That's where this head is leaking. Unfortunately, it's not actually repairable because at the machine shop when they started testing, this cylinder is leaking, this cylinder is leaking, and although this one is not leaking, it's every bit as thin as the others, and I'm sure it's just a matter of time. In fact, both heads are like that, and they are not going to be salvageable. Bigger concern though at the machine shop was, upon inspection, we found that when they built this motor, the previous shop didn't do any machine work to the block. And so our brand new rotating assembly in what was supposed to be a ready to go fresh motor for this customer turned out to be that block. It did have nice high-end components in it, but it was just a matter of running briefly before the scarring in those cylinders started destroying these new high-end parts. Based on the fact that the heads are now unusable, the block is unusable, part of the rotating assembly is damaged, and a variety of other things going on with the car that, although it had great parts, they just were never the right combination for this build. The customers decided we're going to call it. And this is where the dream of this Roush unfortunately dies. Unfortunately, we never got to see that thing really rip. In fact, the meanest that we ever saw it at was 5 pounds of boost and about a half throttle pull. I'll show you that here real quick. So it's sad, and obviously the Mustang project is coming to an end. But just because one project ends doesn't mean we don't have others beginning. And up next, we have this. It is just a small block 350 Chevy. We're gonna go ahead and go through it, tear it down, see what kind of condition it's in, see if anything needs to be freshened up, and get this thing all put back together, with the end goal being this fuel injected going into a Datsun. So stay tuned for all of that. Well, we got this small block most of the way torn down. I think we're gonna go take it and run it past the machine shop, have it hot tanked, magnaflux everything to make sure there's no damage that has not been seen, and get it cleaned up. All right, so the heads off this small block, wanted to check them out real quick, and simple trick, pour some water down in the intake ports, and you can see that that valve is seeping. This one, we have one little drop building up on that side. This one seems to be sealed, and then this intake valve, it's definitely coming out. When we did the exhaust, we had this one leaking, so looks like these heads could definitely use a trip to the machine shop to be freshened up. So as you can see, I have a whole truck bed full of blocks, and we are going to give you quite the storied update on the Corolla engine. Originally, we had intended on having that together and ready to run and fire up before the end of the year. Well, that didn't happen as we ran into some snags. One of the issues that we ran into was we decided that after having added the giant turbo and deciding we were going to run nitrous, we needed to pull apart the existing 5.3 that was in there and gap the rings. So we began pulling it apart, and unfortunately it didn't go so well. Went ahead, turned it over, 482 on the crank. The Corolla has a 4.8, and there's no way that's going to work. So now we got to get another engine. So after we determined that I only had a 4.8 as opposed to the 5.3 that I was hoping for, we decided that since Alan has a Bel Air project, we could just put the 4.8 in that. And so I was going to rob his 5.3. I started to tear his 5.3 down, and turns out it's also a 4.8. So we both were sold 4.8s that we were told were 5.3s. Ultimately, we decided that we would just go ahead and go down to the pole barn where we had a bunch of engines you guys have seen previously, and go ahead and pull one of the 5.3s. So we did that. We tore it down so that we could verify that it was actually a 5.3. It was. We were excited, and off to the machine shop it went. So this is our 5.3, and if you look right there, sure enough, when it magnafluxed, it had 2 cracks in the block. This one is trash. No worries. We thought we'll just move on to the 6-liter. Well, the 6-liter wasn't that much better. Turns out that it's had a couple of main bearings spin. It's going to need line board, which the machine shop that we were using does not offer that service. And so it was going to get sent off to another machine shop. But good news, that meant Corolla was getting the full send with an aluminum LS3. And we were ready. So we were going to use this one. We knew that it was going to need one sleeve. That one's been damaged, but no worries. We can put a sleeve in and that motor will be ready to go. So that was the plan. Except then we were told that this one looks to have also spun the mains a little bit. And it may not be able to be fixed with just some honing. It also is probably going to need to be line bored. Lastly, I had this one. This is the creme de la creme. This was the nicest one of our bunch. And I was excited, so that's it. All aluminum, 6.2, ready to go. Machine shop said we'll take care of it, and they proceeded work on it. Machine shop bored this 30 thousandths over. They said there was one cylinder that had some rust in it, and that's what it was going to take to go all the way through the rust. The downside is they don't make pistons for this in a performance application for 30 thousandths over. In fact, 15 thousandths is the threshold. So what that means is now this whole thing has been bored as opposed to just removing the one cylinder liner that it could have needed. And that means now we're going to end up having to fully sleeve this block. This wasn't well received by us, and the machine shop and us are no longer working together. So we've separated, and we're gonna get this one taken care of now. It's another setback, but in the end, we're gonna have a sleeved all aluminum LS3 to go in our Corolla. There you go. Tons of drama, tons of engines, but good news. Look at those things. We got the turbos all ready to go for the Corolla with the new motor when we get it completed, and obviously you can tell we're changing the paint scheme a little bit. This thing is going to look sharp. Thanks for everything, guys, and as always, like, follow, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook for more content, and we will see you next time.